shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul. Watching you and watching me. We're all connected but separated. Misunderstood and so frustrated. A million armies of one have invaded. Watching you and watching me. We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong. I know you're out there somewhere. We watched you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We will expose you
You know, sometimes our introduction does not follow what we need it to do. So here I am, hanging out, trying to get everything going. I know you guys heard a little bit of a clip of the music there. I know you did. We fired it late. And we have this one little system that we have going here called VLC. And for some reason, it had stopped working, which means that it cut the intro off a little bit. So I do apologize to you, everyone, as we kick things off this Tuesday, October 30th, Wednesday, October 31st, if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I'm your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We welcome in everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. Don't forget, our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, shop at our store, read up on the Encounter online, and so much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by the YouTube channel Ensuho. Sebastian Martin brings high-quality messages to the masses. Go to spacedoutradio.com, click on the Ensuho banner, and subscribe to the channel today. Since we are in the glowing orange of Halloween, I thought it would be a great time to bring back our resident horror film expert, Ian Holt. Ian is a movie producer, formerly a star on MTV Raps, award-winning author, and tonight we are going to hit a number of topics with Mr. Ian, including his favorite horror movies and characters of all time, along with the idea that Tupac Shakur could be alive and living in Malaysia, life after death, and what about rectangular icebergs? We're going to get into it all with Ian tonight. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, Olaf Phillips from Paranoia Magazine is back with another edition of the SOR Newswire. Mr. Ian Holt, good to have you back, my friend. How are you?
Happy Halloween, Dave. It's our time of year.
More like your time of the year. I'm more of a Christmas guy. You know, I just hate the fact, and I'm going to get this pet peeve out of there right now. I do not support stores, and I realize the majority of them are doing it now, but I do not support stores that put out Christmas stuff before Remembrance Day or Veterans Day. I absolutely refuse. I don't care if I have to pay a little bit more at the store next door, but, you know, we can wait until after Veterans Day down in the States or Remembrance Day up here in Canada before we hit the Christmas season. You know what I'm saying, Ian?
Yes, and, you know, Christmas for me is more about the Grinch and Krampus and A Christmas Carol.
Why Krampus?
And Black Christmas. Well, because he's the evil demon that picks up the bad kids. See, I'm on the dark side of Christmas.
I can see that.
Because Christmas is holiday. It used to be a pagan holiday. I mean, and,
I get that.
The emperor mother just said, "Oh well, you know, we don't want to upset the apple cart, so we'll make, you know, Jesus' birthday on the day that, you know, we had the solstice." So, you know, there you go.
Well,
you don't even have to change your house. You don't have to buy a new calendar. If Jesus is your Lord and Savior, you don't even have to change your calendar this year. And then people went for it.
Well,
we don't really
I
know
understand that. I understand that, but I know Goddess Michelle on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. She is going to be all over me now because you mentioned the K word, Krampus. She is dying for a Krampus show.
We should do a Krampus show. You know, in Germany, there's towns that these people pay thousands and thousands of dollars to create a Krampus costume. And they can only play Krampus if they go out in the parade, and and everybody brings their children. And unlike in America here, where you see Santa in the parade and all the balloons in the sky, these guys lose their position and cannot march in the parade if they don't make at least 10 children cry or scream.
That's terrible. That is absolutely terrible. Why turn Christmas into a horror flick? Come on, man. Come on.
Well, they want to scare them into being good kids. If you're not a good kid, Krampus is going to get you. So start teaching them at a very early age to be good kids because they never want to see Krampus again. And you can't be a Krampus in the parade if you don't make 10 kids scream. And there's actually people that follow you around and mark how many times you make a kid cry or scream in the parade. They work for the city.
Well, I can tell you. Parade. I can tell you this, when my little guy acts up and starts having one of his 5-year-old tantrums, as they do quite often at that age, I threaten him with the only thing I know how. I threaten to take him to the soccer field. So I say, you want to act like that? You want to throw a tantrum when there's nothing to throw a tantrum about? I said, we're going to go to the soccer field, then you can go roll around on the pitch like you're injured, and hopefully somebody will get a red card over it. I said, or you could be a man and button it up right now. So when I mention the soccer field, he immediately knows that Daddy is serious.
Well, I just make my kid watch. I would just make my kid. I don't have a kid, but if I did, I'd just make him watch horror films.
Well, he's not ready for that, dude. I don't need to traumatize the kid. I mean, soccer is traumatizing enough. I mean, I don't want to injure a kid for life.
4 years old, and I watched The Exorcist.
Yeah, but you're a different breed, man. You don't have kids in the millennial stage. The young millennials. You don't have that. Soccer is scary enough. It's scary enough, man.
The millennials are all soft. They need to harden up. And watching horror movies would help them. I mean, everything today with the millennials is, it doesn't make me feel good. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I have trauma. Well, try growing up in our time. We had all kinds of crazy stuff going on. Vietnam and this and that, the draft, this and that was all going on when we were little kids. We were like, what did we think was going to happen to us? We didn't know they were going to end the draft. I mean, it was all of our people were running to Canada. I remember, my cousin was like, do I go to college? Do I go for the draft? Do I go to Canada? What do I do? I mean, it was politically crazy as a kid. I mean, we had all kinds of trauma. We had the most divorces and everything else in our generation. We dealt with everything, we turned out okay.
I understand. I totally understand, dude. I totally get it. But either way, when I need to discipline my child, I threaten to take him to the soccer field. That's all I have to do.
Well, like me, I would take him to the soccer field, put him in the middle of the soccer field, and then leave him there at night. That'll scare him straight.
Well, you know what? Yeah, I don't want the kid attacked by bears or wolves, man. I don't need that. I like the kid. I do.
That's why kids. Because I would do these things to make the kid listen to me.
I hear you.
That's why I never had them.
I hear you, brother. Hey, let us get right to this, my friend. It is your favorite time of year. You are a giant horror movie fan. and you are someone who has been in Hollywood and been somebody who is looking down the film and the camera lenses to film all this kind of stuff. What makes a good horror movie? What makes people scared today?
I think what scares people today isn't the same stuff that scared people back when. I mean, today it's more about jump scares. And, you have movies like Slender Man, which is based on a true story, about these two little girls who were obsessed by or possessed by Slender Man, and they killed another girl. But in the movie, I mean, it's all CGI. I think audiences have had enough of that. They don't want that. They don't want this crazy CGI. They can tell CGI immediately. But go old school, go back to what makes horror great, the more realistic horror, like Halloween, and you've got a number one hit, The Nun. There's a perfect blend of CGI with real stuff like they do in The Walking Dead every week, and you have this perfect blend where the CGI would just enhance the real makeup. I mean, there's still a place, today we seem to think that, guys like Savini and Rob Bottin and Rick Baker, we don't need them anymore. But if you watch The Walking Dead, you see that the real makeup effects artists like Greg Nicotero still have a place in making films, and they work better. They're just more expensive. Right. So I think the best horror films are when we in the business, when you do an effect live, it's called practical. You're doing it on the set. So the more practical stunts and things you can do, and that you can create with makeup effects, dummies, prosthetics, whatever, the better the film is, the more realistic and more scary it is. And I think we're getting to a point after, Paranormal Activity where things were just jumping out. We had this big PG-13 horror thing. We're losing, my girlfriend is not a big horror fan, but she saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, for the first time with me, which I really loved that she watched it with me because she was terrified. But she said afterwards it was disturbing. And I think, movies like House of a Thousand Corpses gets it right in the classic sense, the Devil's Rejects. These movies are disturbing. Horror movies are supposed to leave you unsettled. But I think, they've become, over time, more about, stuff jumping out. And that's what the distributors look for, how many times the audience jumps, and they think that's what makes the scares. But really what they've become is an amusement park ride. When you really get to something disturbing, like, watching Faces of Death, which I can't really call a horror film, but it disturbs you. Like watching Grandpa in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Is he alive? Is he dead? What is he? I mean, and the camera swinging in and out, it's just so, you feel unnerved and you feel scared. It permeates your soul and it leaves you, you never forget it. That first shot of a guy, of this guy walking towards you in the cemetery, and there's just something not right about him. But he's far away. He's not really a threat yet. They're coming to get you, Barbara, and Night of the Living Dead. It's just, you just can't get it out of your head. Look at that thing, that's disturbing. I mean, the scene where the daughter kills the mother with the shovel, is eating her mother. I mean, it's just insane. It's crazy. And these kind of scenes, they never leave you. They stay with you forever. I mean,
Ian, you bring up a good point about the CGI effects, that the people can tell that it's not real comparatively to, the 70s and 80s and even into the 90s, where horror film was trying to make it as realistic as possible. Do you think horror films now are really abusing the entire CGI process and forgetting that horror is supposed to be your worst nightmares come true?
Yes. You watch the early horror movies from like the 70s and the 60s, and you'll see someone pull a knife across skin, and you'll just see blood appear because there's a little tube behind the knife, and you squeeze it, the blood comes out, and the razor edge of the knife isn't sharp. But then you watch Friday the 13th, and the first kill, you see the knife go across the neck and tear open the flesh. The flesh open up, and the blood gush out, and you see the inside workings of the throat. That's a prosthetic neck. Tom Savini created that. It was the first time it was done, and it scared the shit out of people because it was real. Shoot out of people because it was real. It looked so real. Now, what happened was we got more into this gore effect because gore became the main thing. And, you had people that said that this is causing people to kill people and be violent. We're desensitizing a generation of violence. Well, I was pretty much saw every freaking horror movie that came along, and I was desensitized to it where I can watch this stuff and not even bother me anymore. But I don't go out and kill people. When I was a kid, I drew, Freddy and Jason and all these people killing everybody in art class and in my notebook. If I did that today, or if I did it, in the Bible Belt, I probably would be, thrown out of school and put in a mental asylum. Look at Damien, right, from the Robin Hood Hills murders. He wrote horror stories, and he was a goth and a pagan. So, what did they do?
Hey, question for you. Do you got a hammer in the background? Because you keep on, are you slamming, going typical New York and talking with your fists on your desk?
On my desk, yes. You can hear that?
I can hear that. Yeah. What, are you pounding nails? Are you building a spice rack or something while you're doing that, or what? Maybe a new Freddy glove for Halloween tomorrow night?
And this is like really cool. I'm working on iOS Apple Mojave, the new operating system. That my phone calls come up on the computer, and I can look at my computer screen and talk to you on the computer screen. I don't have to go around holding my phone. So it is picking up the mic it's sensitive, and it's picking everything up, which it wouldn't get picked up on if I was doing it on the speaker on the phone like I usually do. So this is a new experience for me. We're learning together.
Nice. Well, bang your leg or something if you don't mind, buddy. Bang your leg.
No, I'm done. Yeah.
You're done? Oh, okay. Okay.
Part Italian, I talk with my hands a little bit. I can't help it.
Getting back to the horror films, my friend, because I'll be honest with you, I've never been a fan of CGI. I really haven't. To me, it has ruined a lot of good stories and a lot of good plots, and it looks fake, and I don't really like it. I've never really been a real horror movie guy, but every now and again I would throw in, a Nightmare on Elm Street or Hellraiser or something along those lines. So with the CGI, do we see the day that these horror aficionados start actually raising a little bit of hell in, so to speak, to go to these directors and write movies or emails and letters to these movie directors saying, look, this isn't what we want. This looks way too contrived, way too fake. Let's get back to the realism of what horror is all about.
It's driven by box office, okay? Like, you can make a movie like Lights Out, which is rated PG-13, and you can make it scary by things jumping out at you. But it's not going to be gory, and it's not going to be unsettling. Then you go and you make a movie like Halloween, which is, it's not overly gory, but it's enough gore to be, seem realistic. But it's more about this unsettled feeling of this relentless, mindless killer that's killing people for no reason. And that, there are a number of kills in the new Halloween, which you don't really know why he's killing them. It's like sometimes you think, oh, is it the house? You know, is this the house that was in the first one? Even though they weren't filmed in the same town, the houses kind of look alike. So you're wondering if he's going back to the house. They don't really explain it. He just how he picks who to kill. So it's kind of this really unsettling feeling, like this guy's walking around. We don't know what's in his head, which was so important to John Carpenter coming back to this, and the makers, you know, of this film, the writers, the director, was to recreate the shape. We didn't know who was going to be killed. Friday the 13th and Jason had become formulaic, you know, very formulaic, and that's why I think we're having so much trouble rebooting it, because Jason was, you know, it was about how creative could we kill, you know, the football star and star quarterback and the cheerleader, captain of the cheerleading squad, you know, and how could we save the good girl, how the good girl at the end can kill him. And it was cathartic for, you know, all the nerds who were getting picked on in school every day to see Jason kill all the popular people. I mean, that's what it really was about, those films. You know, when you watch Night of the Living Dead and you see the Civil Rights Movement and the Vietnam War, you watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's about the conservatives killing the flower children because, you know, I mean, it's the reverse. So, I mean, all these movies had some, you know, something going on. I mean, you know, with them, you know, some story or something that gave it a bigger context. Today, I mean, what's the purpose of a lot of these movies? You know, Halloween is talking about the nature of evil. You know, that evil is just out there. The idea that evil is just out there and it could just snatch you up at any time and destroy you. That, you know, you're a target in a video game, and if the guy decides to focus on you, we don't know why. There's no rhyme or reason to his killing. So the new Halloween is very disturbing. And I have to say that Nick Castle, who's almost 70, playing him again at Michael Myers at 70, brings something to the film that none of the other Michael Myers have ever brought. You know, that head tilt, the way he does it, when he watches someone die, that, like, why did they stop moving? You know,
I don't know.
It's so disturbing. Like, it's like, what did I do to them? Why did they stop moving? That's so weird. You know, he's looking at it like he doesn't understand what he's doing. It's like complete mindless killing. And it's
Ian, I got to stop you right there. We're going to go to a break here. Ian Holt, movie producer, award-winning author, is our guest on Spaced Out Radio. We'll be back right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject, from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. We're chatting with award-winning author Ian Holt tonight, all things horror. Ian, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, and happy Halloween, because it's already after midnight on the East Coast. We're way into the witching hour.
So, on the new Halloween movie that you watched, were you surprised that after 40 years that Michael Myers wasn't chasing down Jamie Lee Curtis in a wheelchair?
Well,
I mean, they're old now, guys. They're old.
No, that's the point of the movie. I think, the movie very cleverly does something. Look, I don't want to say anything, but Malika Cod and I almost made Undead, the producer of Halloween, almost made Undead into a movie, almost did a remake of Halloween Season of the Witch, but we couldn't come to financial terms. Now, Malik and I spoke about how much we like the idea of what trauma does to someone when you have this horrific event. Because in Dracula the Undead, my novel, the sequel to Dracula, all the original characters are all scarred by this event. Now you have Jamie Lee Curtis scarred by the event of this, and he throws out all the other sequels and prequels and all that, and just goes now a direct sequel to the original again. And it's her trauma. So all these years later, this thing is still haunting her, which I think is very real, and I like because I don't think he stole it, but I think it's an homage to the things we discussed because it inspired Malik about what to do with the Halloween series next. But I have to say that, I love that idea, that she's been waiting for him all this time. And there are a number of people that go, well, how could she be waiting? He's in prison. Well, I mean, think about all the people that have had a killer and they're waiting for them to die in the election chair. And, now this guy isn't even in prison. He's in a mental institution. And, there's a twist in the movie, too, which comes right from Undead with Van Helsing. If any of you read it, Dr. Loomis' successor has the same twist. I won't give it away, but there's the same twist. So there's two things. It's not just one thing that makes you think they took a little from Undead here. But the truth is, and I consider it an honor that they stole from me if they did for Halloween, which would be great. But the idea, I think, that she is haunted by this thing makes it pretty exciting, the movie. Because it cost her family, it cost her daughter. I mean, and, no one understands. I mean, there's even a great line in the movie where someone goes, "Ooh, 3 people got killed by Michael Myers." By today's standard, that's not even a bleep on the radar. It's like, we just had 11 people killed. So Michael Myers killing 3 people in a night, big whoop. That's how they react, the kids in the movie at this time. So I find it very realistic. I like where it went. It made it more, like the first one was more of a movie, a movie horror like The Exorcist or Silence of the Lambs. This one's more of a movie horror. There's a real story there with characters, and I liked it.
Who is the most underrated horror movie killer out there? Let's go back the last 30 years.
Well, for me, I mean, no horror movie killer has been more disserviced by sequels and prequels than Leatherface. I mean, the remake was good, but everything else I thought was horrible. And I have to say that, you know, the most unrecognized, who I think is the greatest killer, is Joe Spinell's Maniac. You know, Frank Zito in Maniac is probably the greatest horror movie killer ever on screen, because he was just psychotic. I mean, it was brutal. But I thought that what he said about society, like these movies, remember, this is Gazzo from the Loan Shark and Rocky, and, you know, Willie Chi-Chi in the Godfather movies. You know, and he wanted to do a romantic love story. And he brought it to Stallone, and Stallone's like, I can't make this. No one's going to believe a pretty woman loves your fat creative face. That's what he said to Joe Spinell. It's never going to work. This is years before Frankie and Johnny and the Claire de Lune, which was, of course, the rat guy from Dennis Franz from NYPD Blue, and Kathy Bates. They were famous on stage for doing this. They created the characters on stage in New York. Two unpretty people getting together. But it was Joe Spinell's idea that a pretty woman might fall for him because she's been, you know, because she was, you know, didn't get, all the guys that dated her were assholes, and he was nice to her. That was the premise of the movie. It didn't work. So he got angry and turned it into a horror movie. And in this horror movie, it's about our ads are all these pretty men in expensive suits, driving expensive cars with great jobs, and they're the only ones that women should be attracted to. So this guy is a janitor who works hard. He can't get any girls, and he gets angry. And he starts killing women. You know, he had a terrible childhood. He was abused. So it all comes back. So all these things that we see and take for granted in our consumer society of these perfect images of women that are unattainable, and they're telling you can't be a real man if you don't have that type of woman, bring him to kill. And one of the things that he really understood was the star of the movie is the killer. You know, that's what we go to see. We go to see Michael. We go to see Jason. We go to see Freddy. And he did that in 1980. So, I mean, to me, the most underrated horror film, and remember, it was Tom Savini first time, you know, we had a blown-up head with a shotgun. I mean, it was very realistic gore. It was rated X. It was brutal, honest, and very disturbing. You know, so while a lot of these other horror films by these big directors like Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Zombie, you know, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, all get these great reviews. William Lustig, who directed this, and, you know, Maniac Cop and Vigilante and a bunch of other movies, he never gets the credit he deserves as one of the kings of horror. But one of the greatest horror films ever made, modern horror films, is Maniac. And you can't deny it. I mean, it saw our society and where we were going. I mean, this whole thing now about plus-size models and this and that, it all started with Joe Spinell's Maniac. And I've got to say, if any of you have seen the movie, Joe Spinell, may he rest in peace, had one of the best exits of any horror star of all time. In real life, he was a hemophiliac, and he got drunk one night, and he cut his arm he turned, he broke the shower door, and he cut his arm, and he was bleeding, and he was kind of passed out. He was drunk. He sat down on the sofa, and he died. Family didn't hear from him for days. They called the police to break down the door, and I guess his head slumped down into his chest on the sofa. When they broke in the door, they told the family to get back and pulled their guns and ran into the place ready to shoot the killer. Well, they saw Joe Spinell's decapitated head on top of the TV. They called the crime scene unit and everything. Turns out his head was in his chest. That was the decapitated head that Tom Savini made of him for the final scene of the movie, was sitting on the top of his television. So he went out with one last scare. That's the way for a horror star to go out.
See, in my opinion, and I know I've mentioned this before to you, I never thought Pinhead from Hellraiser got enough recognition because he was kind of like, you know, NHL hockey in the pro sports leagues in the United States. Great game, but never got the recognition that it deserved. And, when he was battling Jason or the alien characters or Michael Myers or Freddy Krueger, he just seemed like the lost cause. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he was.
And yet he was fantastic. He was fantastic.
I like the third one. But, I'm not a huge fan of the Hellraiser series. Especially the later ones. But, he was basically the same. The xenomorphs that he brought with him changed in every movie, but he was always the same. Freddy had all these inventive kills, this and that. This guy was always the same. And I kind of think also, Hellraiser, after it got popular, it kind of like, I don't know, it wasn't like S&M enough. It kept implying S&M, but it wasn't S&M enough. If you watch Cruising with Al Pacino, the gay S&M killer movie, from William Friedkin after he did The French Connection and The Exorcist, is much more disturbing than a Hellraiser movie. And I just felt like those movies they were very gory, but I never thought they lived up to the excitement of a Freddy movie or a Jason movie or a Michael movie. I don't know why. It just never...
See, and I saw them differently, man. I saw them almost like a horror movie from Tron. If Tron was turned into a horror movie, that's kind of what I took Hellraiser series to be, and I really enjoyed it. It wasn't all about the whole slasher. It was about sci-fi meets horror, and that's what I enjoyed about it.
I don't know. The first one was about evil people doing evil deeds and getting what they just deserves. The first one was a morality play, like Candyman and a bunch of other firsts. That after the first one, the people that took it on and took it over never really captured what Clive Barker did with the first one. And Candyman and Hellraiser, to me, are two that never lived up to its potential. I hear the remake, the guys who did Jordan Peele, who did Get Out, Get Out, whatever it was. Jordan Peele is doing Candyman again, which should be very interesting. I think there's going to be a new Hellraiser, and I think that, especially after, 50 Shades of Grey, we can get more into what these characters are about and what it, it's too, the box to me was also, so everyone's got to find the box and everything's about the box. There are more things in hell than you don't, the idea that you can bring hell because of a box. What about the people that do wrong in the world? There was never really a morality play other than in the first one, and horror at its best is a morality play.
Yeah, I can see that. But I think Pinhead was just underrated on that, man. Totally underrated.
I think he was fantastic. He was great in the role, but they didn't give him much to do. You can't, other than I'm going to tear your soul apart, which was from the first one, you're not going to really get many great lines from him. You're not going to remember all the kills. You're going to remember the chains pulling skin and this and that. Freddy... welcome to prime time, bitch. Every movie he had tons of great lines and creative kills and was doing stuff that, the dog peed on his bones and he comes back to life. Come on. There was so many things in the Freddy Krueger movies or in the Michael movies, that you would be like, wow, there was a lot of, you didn't really get with Hellraiser. I think the people that made Hellraiser, they didn't live up to the potential of what Clive Barker started. And you look at, Farewell to the Flesh. Candyman, Farewell to the Flesh. It's just a disaster. And I think they were afraid. I know Tony Todd. I think they were afraid to go really into the whole idea of the slavery and the racism. They weren't going to go into Mandingo territory. And I think that that's the real terror. Isn't the truth the terror? of what that world was like. And especially today when people go around saying, hey, 3 square meals, a roof over their head, a job for life. It wasn't that bad. You know, I mean, you know, we kind of have a little bit of a revisionist history of what slavery really was all about, you know. So, I mean, you know, when you see Django Unchained, it's more unsettling than Candyman. I mean, especially the sequel.
But let me ask you this: have we gone away from the love of true horror and are more into psychological type movies? Whether it's something by Quentin Tarantino or M. Night Shyamalan or something along those lines. The Paranormal Activity series as well, you could throw in there, or even going back to the Blair Witch Project.
I think everything comes in cycles. I think we, you know, when you go from the 70s into the mid-80s, you know, the golden age of horror starts to die away, and you just get gore fests because people wanted gore, so they gave you more and more gore. You know, I think, you know, people were competing for the goriest film you could get, and it kind of killed it because how much gore can you see? Eventually, I mean, you get desensitized to it. It's not frightening or exciting anymore. I think when Scream came out, it revitalized the genre. And, you know, it's also a lot of the movies towards the end of the 80s got very jokey, and they kind of wore thin. You know, and they kind of lost where to go. They were making them because they needed one to make money. I mean, like, New Line was famous for just throwing them out there because they wanted to make money, to raise money, eventually do Lord of the Rings. So, I mean, they made their backs on these movies, and they needed one every year because they made a fortune, you know. And I think that, you know, they just became a machine, and you didn't have a reason for making them. And I think what the difference when you do today, like The Conjuring and these films from Blumhouse, each one of them have a reason for making them. You know, there's you know, like, they understand you're going to have, like, when Blumhouse was coming back to Halloween, I got all excited because John Carpenter, the first thing they did was interview John Carpenter, what made the first one great? And he said, once you try to explain Michael, the reason why he's killing Jamie, that she's his sister, even in the movie they say, it wasn't Laurie Strode his sister. No, that's just a rumor. You know, they want to kill all that because it takes away this mindless, shapeless thing. Jason kills camp counselors again and again and again and again. You know, Michael, you know, the true horror of it is the shape of evil. It's this lurking evil that's out there, and we see it. The guys walk into a temple in Pittsburgh and kill 11 people. 2 black people walking on the street are shot because they're black. That's the shapeless evil that is in the world. You know, that's the real horror of it. That's why Michael is so scary. It's showing us a part of our society, ourself. You know, this idea when Halloween first started, that little Michael, the little boy, killed his sister. I mean, we were shocked by that. We were shocked by the fact that it was a little kid. It was brilliant. But, you know, we were marching into that time of the gangs, where the gangs were recruiting 13-year-olds. They wanted to start trying 13-year-olds as adults. Halloween reflected our own madness in our society, and it still does with this new film. Yeah, waited all these years, his moment, this just to get out there and kill again. You know, I mean, that it's just lurking out there. And Jamie Lee Curtis's character, Laurie, now is like you had Crazy Ralph in Friday the 13th. You know, she's the harbinger. There's always a harbinger in these movies, someone that's going to tell you what's going to happen if you do this. And she's the one that's screaming her head off. You know, he's out there. He's waiting out there. Evil is waiting out there. It's all around us. It's very unsettling, and that's what makes Halloween great. And, you know, the Rob Zombie movie, although it's great to get into Michael Myers' head and what made him, the fact that once you get into it, the family was an occult family and like 5 and 6, you get into all of that. It's an explanation that you shouldn't have. We shouldn't be able to explain it because you can't explain evil. You can't explain why a guy goes out and kills 11 people. I mean, he has a purpose, but I mean, it's like, this is, I mean, why did the clown, what's his name, go out and kill all those boys? I mean, why did Dahmer eat all those guys? I mean, it's the same thing over and over again. It's just this mindless killing that's in our society that we've always had. I mean, Whitey Bulger died today. He supposedly killed, somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 people. And he was a hero in the neighborhood, because he took back from the Italian mob. So, I mean, that's what we make a hero? I mean, I don't know. I mean, we, that shape, what Carpenter and Blumhouse brought back, you feel the murders. So some of the murders happen off screen, but you hear them. It's just, it's not, you got to realize that it's not the jump scare that's scary. It's that the woman's cooking dinner and Michael sees the knife. Okay, I'm going to go in and get it, but he doesn't kill her. He just takes the knife and then walks into the next house for some reason and kills a woman for absolutely no reason, just to look out the window.
I hear you there, buddy. We only got about 20 seconds.
That is the scare, the not knowing when it's going to happen or from where. That's what makes this new Halloween really scary, not just jump scares. And that's why it's a great horror movie.
And that's why we love you breaking them down, my friend. But in the next hour on Spaced Out Radio, we're going to get into some different topics with Mr. Ian Holt, producer of movies, author, award-winning. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio right after this. Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social media freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social media freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Thanks for being with us. Tomorrow night on the show, Karen Dahlman is back for our Halloween special, where we do our 3rd annual Halloween Live Ouija board session. We get going at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We say hello to everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio, and hello to everybody listening in on Revolution Radio, including the captain over there, Nighthawk. Good to have you all with us tonight. Don't forget our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Nemophilist. Nemophilist is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You could rock out to Bumblefoot. Soon shop at our brand new Spaced Out Radio store, read up on the SOR Newswire, and so much more. Ian Holt is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, former MTV Raps host, movie producer, award-winning horror author, and we can call you a regular here on Spaced Out Radio. You're here every couple of months. How you doing, my friend?
Happy Halloween, ladies. Any more words of the Kurgan from Highlander. I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good, man. We are doing very, very good. So, I'm curious, my friend. I'm curious in regards to this situation. A doctor in the United States named Dr. Sam Parnia has done a study on life after death. And this came with some pretty amazing and chilling results that really hasn't got the press that it probably should have. I know you've been reading up on this. Fill our audience in.
Well, you and I, for a couple of years now, have been screaming at the top of our lungs on a lot of shows that why aren't scientists looking into paranormal? You know, there's enough interest in it. There's a new generation coming up. The science is matching up. We can now store data in electromagnetic fields without a physical disk or hard drive, which would imply the usage of a soul. We're finding dark matter, dark energy, different dimensions, all these things that we keep. We are proving that the soul and all this could exist. The science is matching up. Why aren't they doing the research? Well, we have a scientist who started out at Stony Brook, but is now at NYU Hospital. He is like one of the foremost trainers of resuscitation ER specialists to bring people back once they go into cardiac arrest. He's at the forefront of all the greatest techniques. But the one thing that has haunted this man is how many times he has been in an ER, a person that's been clinically dead. That means eyes fixed and dilated, no brain waves, heart stopped, no breathing. Wakes up, they revive them, and they say they floated out of their body, saw the light, saw their loved ones, all these things. And then were told to go back, you know, and they could describe things that happened that they couldn't have known because they were clinically dead while it was happening. So the only way they could have seen it is if they rose above them. So he had seen this enough times that he felt there was some research there. And even if it wasn't proof of life after death, it would be proof of consciousness beyond the point of clinical death. Now, he thought, well, maybe this is a way to bring people back. So he wanted to use that as the ramrod to get his study done. they wouldn't give him any money because it was too fantastical for people to even think that he might be looking into life after death. My God. So what he did was come up with a simple plan. He called ERs around the world, in the U.S., Canada, UK, and Europe. And the heads of the ERs in these big cities all said, oh, yeah, we get patients all the time this is happening to. They come back and claim this. And some of them couldn't have known what they say. They couldn't have known what was happening in the room because it was after they were dead. They described exactly what was happening to them, what they were doing to their quote-unquote body at the time. And then they were pulled back into the body. They're claiming, all claiming some kind of light. Now, some people say it's just electromagnetic charges in the brain, but we can't be sure. We should be studying it. So this guy came up with a simple plan. But all these ERs around the world were only too happy to do it because they were all, the people that worked there were all experiencing this with their patients. He put signs around the room, symbols, letters, whatever, that you could not see from lying down on the gurney. You would have to be above, in the air, like above the body, above where people stand in order to see these placards. So, and it cost nothing but putting up a few signs in the room. They're already recording everything that happens in the ER, so they have the footage, so they can prove, that whatever the person's describing, if it happened after they were clinically dead or not. So out of like 4,000 people that were part of the study around the world, they got about 80% of those that survived and were brought back. 80% of the survivors claimed some kind of out-of-body or near-death experience, or both. 80%. Now, from that 80%, which would register almost 3,000 people, there was something like 409 that were saying things. None of them saw the placards, but they were saying things that happened after they were clinically dead that they could see. There were actually 2 cases, which doesn't sound like a lot, but this is not a study to prove anything. This is a study to raise enough question to start a study. So there were 2 that survived, that lived long enough, because a lot of people died in between this because they were in very bad shape. Of course, if you die and brought back, you're pretty close to the end a lot of times. So these 2 people actually were able to describe exactly what happened to them after they were dead, what was going on in the room, who was there. Now, these people didn't know about the placards around the room, so I don't think they were looking for it, and that was one of the faults of the initial experiment. They weren't looking for these cards. They were hidden around. But what happened is you have 80% of people experiencing something. That's enough of the survivors that were brought back experiencing this, with 104 people saying that they had they could see what was going on around them after they were dead, so you could see this. So they had all these interviews, these levels of interviews, and they tried to force them to change their story or this and that, and they stuck to it and tried to trip them up. But all these people stuck to it. Some of them died in between, so you didn't get studies on all of them. Some of them, didn't want their names published, but they these people signed their names to it. So what happened was this Project Awake showed that this is a real large phenomenon. It's just not just a couple of kooks that were saying it. 80% of the people that went into cardiac arrest and were clinically dead for a few minutes were having this experience. And now he's being funded for Project Awake 2. So he is saying from this instance alone, we can infer, not proof, but infer theoretically, and everything starts with a theory in science, that there is consciousness after what we consider clinical death. Now, whether that's electrical impulses from TMD being released, hormone being released in the brain, or it's actually, consciousness. Now, they would have to, describing things that happened after you died, after you clinically dead, would assume consciousness. So, there's going to be a lot more studies, but for the first time, science is beginning to look at this seriously. And if they prove consciousness after death, then you prove the ghosts and the paranormal. I mean, it's starting. And I think it's starting because of the younger generation out there that have been waiting to jump on this. I mean, you look at, just 20 years ago, Robert Schoch, one of the most young geniuses of archaeology and geology. He looked at the Sphinx and said, "Oh, that's water erosion on the side of the Sphinx. The Sphinx the last time water was in Egypt was 10,000 years ago." And this wonder kid was pretty bounced out of the science world. Now he exists only in Ancient Aliens, the TV series, and writing books with these outcasts. But I mean, today that theory is getting more and more press. That there was a society before the flood 5,000 years ago that goes back. I mean, they're finding Pulapunku and all these places they're saying are much older. So they're finding this again and again. Now he's being looked at, his theories are being looked at again. Why? Younger generation that grew up with it being discussed in the open by people like us are more susceptible, more open to it, and are more curious about it. Science doesn't only have to solve what we know, it's what we're curious about. Curiosity about why the sun rises, why the sun goes in phases, why there's moon, led Galileo to look through the telescope and see that the Earth, revolves around the sun, not the sun around the Earth. Curiosity leads to science advancement. And if we stop curiosity, we'll never know what really goes on. We'll never learn anything.
Some of the conclusions that they came up with were, and I'm going to read a couple of them here. In some cases of cardiac arrest, memories of visual awareness compatible with so-called out-of-body experiences may correspond with actual events. A number of NDEers may have vivid death experiences but do not recall them due to the effects of a brain injury or sedative drugs on memory circuits. Then there are those that recalled the experience surrounding death merits a genuine investigation without prejudice. I mean, those are some pretty startling thoughts from somebody who's been doing a study in 3 different countries.
Right, and that had it, the study is up. You can download it. It's on Resuscitation. It's a peer-reviewed medical journal. This is not like, in like some, Giorgio Tsoukalos's, magazine. Yeah. This is like a medical journal on resuscitation, on ER resuscitation. This is a major, publication in medical science. So, I mean, they had to accept it. They had to come with real numbers. They had to be reviewed and see that their methods were sound and their conclusions were honest. So, I mean, you're talking about a real study that raises the real possibility now, consciousness after clinical death, and awareness. So, I mean, I have to say that, this is all we were calling for. We've never said any of this is real or not. We have our beliefs that we talk about, but what we say is it deserves to be studied. All of this,
right?
From Bigfoot to the next, be honestly studied.
Well, I'm going to get to the consciousness aspect here in a second, but I want to read this other part. Regarding the one case that was validated and timed using auditory stimuli during cardiac arrest, Dr. Parnia concluded, and this is his quote, "This is significant since it has often been assumed that these experiences are likely hallucinations or illusions occurring either before the heart stops or after the heart has been successfully restarted, but not an experience corresponding with real events when the heart isn't beating. In this particular case, consciousness and awareness appeared to occur during a 3-minute period when there was no heartbeat. This is paradoxical since the brain typically ceases functioning within 20 to 30 seconds of the heart stopping and doesn't resume again until the heart has been restarted. Furthermore, the detailed recollections of visual awareness in this case were consistent with verified events."
Now, you see what he's saying. They're very, for those of you who may not hear it the first time, just hearing this for the first time, he's saying visual awareness. So there's, a lot of excuses for this was, the person's like clinically dead, but they're still taking in audio sounds and visual sounds. But if the eyes are fixed and dilated, they can only see what's directly above them. If someone's doing something at the other end of the room and the eyes are fixed and dilated, the eyes aren't seeing it. So they say, oh, well, audio would take it in. You can figure out what was happening. But he's talking about a visual cue that if the eyes are fixed and dilated and are up, staring up, out open, and you're lying prostrate on a table, you can't see what's happening at your feet. You don't have that much peripheral vision. So what he's talking about is something the person could not have seen. Now, in the next study, they're going to be letting people know, all about the placards around the room. They're going to be telling, people that there are placards around the room, so that when they actually have this out-of-death experience, they will look for them. Hopefully, some of them will look for them and will be able to tell us what's on these hidden cards that you can only see from above. He thinks, that was to me, that was the flaw in this study. But that's what happens. You learn from your mistakes, and you think you can do it better a second time. Now they're going to have funding, too. So there's going to be separate cameras recording different things, putting cameras in these rooms at different places. So we're going to be able to see more close-up of what everyone's doing. So when they say, oh, she was pulling out the red syringe, we'll be able to see the person pulling out the red syringe, because it's not just a master shot. You're going to have close-ups of everything going on. You're going to have more cameras in these rooms that are set up for this around the world. So, I mean, it's pretty exciting stuff.
Well, skeptical neuroscientist Stephen Novella was pretty critical about it. He says that in the one case that was verified that we read above, he said it was highly selected and filtered from a larger set of data, and it hardly demonstrates anything. He went on to say that Dr. Parnia, in his opinion, is desperately trying to rescue the study by falling back on simply reporting subjective accounts of what people remember long after the event. And then another skeptic, a parapsychologist named Caroline Watt, concurred with Novella, Dr. Novella, saying the one verifiable period of consciousness awareness that Parnia was able to report did not relate to this objective test. Rather, it was a patient giving a supposedly accurate report of events during his resuscitation. He didn't identify the pictures. He described the defibrillator machine noise, but that's not a very impressive selection, since many people know what goes on in an emergency room setting from seeing recreations on television. Do you think the skeptics are reaching, or do you think that they are bang on with this?
Bang on, but their interpretation is just as valid as Dr. Parnia's. The problem is you have Dr. Parnia's interpretation, which cannot be thrown out outright. It's opinion, just like the skeptics are opinion at this point. What this does prove is it needs more study, and that's what's going to happen. That's all this proves, is something is happening. When 80% of people are reporting something is happening. You have almost 3,000 people that are saying something happened.
Could it be something simple then that, there's a lot of mainstream scientists out there who don't want to believe, or don't believe it's worth the money in finding out about whether it's consciousness, near-death experiences, or even Bigfoot, for that matter?
Think about this. Okay, think about this. If the brain that we think is not functioning is functioning for a few seconds after what is considered clinical death, what kind of treatments, even if there is no proof of life after death, what treatments could we learn about that could bring someone back? Maybe we stop too soon for some people, try to resuscitate them and call them dead when we still have a chance to bring them back. Maybe the brain, once it stops moving, is still alive for a few seconds, that we get a few more seconds to keep trying. Maybe what happens if there is some kind of nervous system response where you can still feel pain for a few seconds, and we're cutting into people without anesthesia? Well, how do you know any of this? There was once a Twilight Zone episode that the person's still conscious after death, and they're cutting into him in an autopsy, and he's screaming in pain. I mean, it was a very scary Twilight Zone. It was one of the new ones when they brought it back. It was probably the best of them. But what if that's true? I mean, we don't really know. if people are reporting something, then this deserves study. The skeptics, I don't deny them, but they shouldn't deny Dr. Parnier's conclusion either, because he can't be led astray. I mean, you're saying, oh, well, people hear things. Here's that excuse again. People hear things, so they know what's going on because they saw it on TV. How do we know? Unless we do more study. I mean, Tom Cruise got on TV and said, oh, wow, all these ADD drugs and Ritalin and all that is going to make kids go crazy later on. And Matt Lauer and all these people called him crazy, right? And then Harvard does a study and says, oh, Ritalin and ADD drugs are making kids crazy 10 years in life because they're taking them during development. That's what he said, but everyone called him crazy. The same thing may happen with this. Everyone's calling Parnier crazy, but 10 years from now, when you do a few real studies, there might be a change.
True that. How's that spice rack coming? How's that spice rack coming?
Spice rack, was I hitting it again?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize. Yeah. Hey, I can't help in New York, Brooklyn,
I
New
know.
York, I can't help.
We got about 2 minutes here before we got about 2 minutes before we got to go to our break at the bottom of the hour, Ian. In regards to this study, though, do you think, though, that there are going to be a new amount of doctors who read this and say, this is something we got to take a little bit more seriously?
Well, it shows you that the guys in the trenches that are there dealing with people are taking it that have seen this are anxious to get involved with this study. It's the higher-ups and the people that are not active doctors but scientists in the labs that won't, and the men on the scientists, old men on the scientific boards of these universities and decide who gets what funding and what grants aren't into it. The people on the ground, the nurses, the ER docs, the head of the ER at the hospitals, they've all experienced this, and their curiosity is piqued just like us. It's the higher ups like, oh, we're not going to waste money on that. But maybe if they wasted some money on it, the regular people will get more into science. Guys like us will be more excited about, other types of science and research and what research can bring. We don't cure anything anymore. We don't discover anything anymore. Everything's about making a drug to delay the symptoms. There's no polio vaccine anymore that cures. We have turned science and everything. We don't do advancements. We should be all working towards finding the fuel that doesn't pollute. Instead, we're fighting over whether we make the pollution or not. It's ridiculous.
Well, you can, I've said this many times on the show. All right. Thank God I have not had anything horrific happen to me. But my mother's a 2-time cancer survivor. And seeing what she's gone through and other people have gone through, I am a firm believer, and I don't think this is being too conspiratorial, but a healthy population is not a profitable population. And on that note, we're going to step out to break here on Spaced Out Radio. More with Ian Holt right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch. Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. We are joined tonight by Ian Holt, award-winning author, movie producer, formerly of MTV Raps. Ian, welcome back.
Thank you. Happy Halloween to everyone out there.
Hey, I'm curious, man, because you follow the weird and strange pretty darn closely. And a couple weeks ago, there was an interesting little feature coming out of Antarctica about this giant rectangular iceberg that almost looked like it was too perfect. Yet, apparently, scientists say that it is a completely natural phenomena. What's your thoughts on that?
Who's going to carve out a giant rectangle that looks like it's been cut out of the ice with a laser? I mean, you see, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that there are no right angles in nature, and then when you find a right angle in nature, say it's just a coincidence. You're not finding one right angle. Those are 4 right angles on that rectangle. Now, I've sent you the picture. You can put it up on Facebook or wherever so everyone out there can see it, and you can make up your own mind. But there are icebergs in the foreground that are all different shapes and sizes. And this thing's floating in the pack ice. I don't know how deep it is, but it looks like it was laser cut and it's perfectly flat. It's like the top of the mountain in Nazca that looks like it was cut off in Peru. Looks like it was just cut off. Now, I mean, you look at this, it looks like a landing platform, or they carved it out, all around the Arctic. There are these weird circles, and they give all these explanations, bubbles from gases and thermal vents and that cause it, whatever. But, this is high UFO, USO traffic areas. So what are you going to look at it and go, well, it looks like a landing pad? I mean, I don't know what else to call it. There's no right angles in nature. And, this is like NASA finds this on a satellite and they just dismiss it. I mean, did they research it? Did they go down there and test the edges? I mean, did anyone do any research? No, they just go, they just excuse it and go, really interesting thing, how cool. It's natural. How do you know? Where's the study? Again, not saying that it's a UFO or UFOs made it or USOs made it. What study did you do to prove that it's natural? Yet they look at the pyramids and the Bimini Road, the pyramids off Japan, and Bimini Road, they go, oh, that's not man-made, it's natural. Well, it's got right angles. Well, it's natural. They just say whatever they have to say to make sure that anyone who believes in anything contrary to what they believe is cuckoo.
Well, I understand that, and I'm leaning towards a logical explanation because I think it's probably the best way to go with this. you know, and the interesting part about this is I've been trying to figure out how the hell the top of it looks so smooth. But then, again, if you have a flat surface and you have snowfall, there's obviously going to look like the illusion that it is completely flat, which what it does. But it just adds to the intrigue of everything.
Oh, no. I disagree. Because look at the iceberg in the foreground. It says right above where NASA spots perfectly rectangular iceberg. To the left of that is an iceberg. And you see it's not flat. It's the same plane as the rectangle, which is perfectly flat, and that one's not. You see dips and cracks and all this stuff in the ice. You see none of that on that. It's perfectly smooth and flat. There's another iceberg right there. Why does us have, I've never seen a flat iceberg. I've never seen one like that. You can look at every picture and every movie. I mean, I watch all the Discovery Channel shows in the Arctic and all this stuff. They never see a flat iceberg like that. There's always something in there. There's always like mounds and mountains and ditches and stripes and stuff from being torn and pulled apart. This is perfectly clean. You can't have that. No, there's ice breaking into it, breaking off. This had to come from somewhere. This was carved off from something or broke off from something. You don't get fracture points in nature. Try and take a piece of shale and break it. You can't get a square fracture point.
Look at you. You got some serious tinfoil on your head for this, man. Serious tinfoil.
I don't know what it is. I'm not saying it's a UFO. It's possible. But I'm not saying that's what it is. But there's something there that we're not getting. I mean, if you want to say it's natural, and fine. But, I mean, you can't just look at something that's really freaking weird and dismiss it out of hand. That's what drives me crazy. What makes your guess any better than my guess? You're just looking at it and go, well, it's impossible that someone carved this out. Well, it's impossible that someone made, 10,000 years ago, made bricks that fit together, 10-ton bricks fit together without a seam that you can't even put a hair into, with interlockers. You know what it takes to carve that out of real fucking granite?
Watch the language. Got to watch the language, man.
Well, one slips out on every show. I just get excited. I can't help it.
I know, but I know, but as of tomorrow night, man, I got to use that dump button thing. As of tomorrow night. Then it's going to cut 10 seconds of air out, and then it's going to get all ugly. All ugly.
Got to get a beep.
You need a beep. You need a beep.
A bit of beep, a bit of boop, a bit of bop. No, I'm telling you, I just, not saying that it's anything. Just prove it to me. Don't just dismiss it outright, because it's too weird to be just dismissed.
No, I can see that, and trust me, I'm struggling with this too, and I'm the guy with the tinfoil roll right, within reaching distance of me, and this does not look natural. It does not look right. However, I mean, considering that 99.9991% of the population has never visited Antarctica or studied it down there, the only thing we can do is make assumptions.
Well, I mean, look, something weird happened to me. We're talking about, life after death before, paranormal experiences, whatever this iceberg is. But, my girlfriend was over, and, I've been smelling this perfume lady, I call her, because I smelled the perfume and I've seen a shadow person in my house. And, all of you who know me know I've had these experiences from the time I was a kid. Jason Hawes trying to figure out why, because I played with a Ouija board when I was a kid. But anyway, I've been smelling and seeing this perfume lady, as I call her. Now, my girlfriend's mother is RH negative. I'm RH negative, B negative. My girlfriend's not. My mom is. So All of a sudden, my girlfriend sits up in bed and goes, "There's someone in the hall." I hear them walking around. I hear them singing. I go, "Singing? Yeah, don't you hear the singing?" Now, I didn't hear the singing, but I went out. I go, "Let me take a look." So I went out in the hall, and I smelled the perfume, but I didn't see anything. So I came back to bed. Now, we all had the flu, and my parents, ever since Sandy, lived upstairs, so I can take care of my mom because she had a TIA, which is like a mini stroke, and she's not 100% well. And so my mom and dad live upstairs. So I hear my mom coughing, and it's the middle of the night. So I go upstairs to check on her, see if she's okay. And she says, there was a woman standing in the corner of the room, and I heard her singing. Now, you could say, oh, they just had a double dream. Maybe it was someone singing outside. But based on what I had seen already, I think that they saw it, and they saw something. Now, you could look at that and tell me a million explanations for it, but that doesn't change the fact that it's weird, and I'd love to investigate it and find out what happened. But people just go, oh, you just heard someone outside, you heard the floor creak, someone upstairs. It doesn't, they just don't take it for real, and I know what I saw. I know what I heard, I mean, so I knew there was someone in the house. Now, I didn't hear it that time. They did. But two people that were on different floors in the middle of the night my girlfriend heard her walking down the hall, and then my mom picked her up at the top of the stairs. And they both heard the singing. So, I mean, you could dismiss it outright and just go, oh, it's just noises, or it's just a natural rectangle of ice. Or you could say, wait a second, this is weird. Maybe we should look a little further into it.
What song was she singing?
I don't know. I asked, and they both couldn't tell me. They just heard like some kind of singing, which is weird. It was like soft and my mom was like, was it coming from outside? She thought it was someone out back, but it sounded like it was coming from in the room, and she saw the woman standing there. Now, my mom said this was the first time she saw her. And I've been saying, I've been smelling her and seeing her for a while. So I think they come to me because I opened the door a long time ago, according to Jason Hawes. I opened the door, and I don't have the weeds. I never closed it, and I think it's too late to close it. So I think they know that I can see them. I have no psychic ability. I can't, or abilities of a medium. I can't tell you who they are, what they are, why they're there, all this stuff, but I can tell you that I see them. Every once in a while, I see them. And now someone else has seen them. And I think, because of the RH negative, I think you become a little psychic automatically. Maybe if I developed it, maybe. But there's some reason that I'm seeing them always. And I think, my girlfriend, is an RH negative, but her mother is, and my mother is. So maybe all of us being together in the house at the same time, it just makes it a little bit more. But I'd love to know more. I'd love to figure that out, why it happens.
Do you think it has anything to do with a connection to your girlfriend or your mother? Is there a spiritual connection that they are feeling?
I think that, I don't know if it's spiritual, but I think that the RH negative, people that are RH negative, I think are more susceptible to extrasensory perceptions. Now, that can get into why they were genetically engineered by ancient aliens. We can go there if you want. But whatever and we're part hybrids or whatever, you can get into all of that. But at the end of the day, they say people with red hair. My girlfriend has red hair, but she's not RH negative, so she might have some of the traits. So maybe when we're all together, the little bit that we each have is stronger. So we sense for her. But the weird thing was I sensed her, but I didn't sense her that night. I walked out into the hall, and I smelt her I smelled the perfume, but I didn't see anything. But then my mom did. My mom starts coughing, and I run upstairs. And my girlfriend was freaked out by it. She was like, "Don't go up, don't leave me down here." I was like, "I'll be right back." She was freaked out.
Has your house always been haunted?
My house is not haunted. I don't believe my house is haunted. I don't believe any of my houses were haunted. What I believe is that they're out there walking around, and spirits that didn't go into the light, or that need to say something, or looking for justice, or they died so quickly they don't know they're dead. Whatever it is, they're lost souls. Then they're walking around amongst us. And I believe they can walk through our walls, and they come because they're in another dimension, or whatever you want to think, the plane of existence. And they walk through these walls, and they come into our houses and watch us because it reminds them who they are. And they try to reach out to us. They try to make contact with us. They're asking for help. They're kind of stuck. So I think they're all around us. I think there are hauntings. I do believe that. But I think many of the times the things we see are either residual haunts, which is something terrible happened and the trauma of it implanted it through electromagnetic field, like an electromagnetic recording. So it plays over and over, and it's just a recording. Other times I think it's an intelligent haunt of someone who walked away from the light and is now walking around the earth. I've run into those. I've had conversations with them, and I don't mean conversations like we're having. I mean with divining rods or, an EMF detector, and, you walk towards it, it would light up. You step away from it, it doesn't. So you can do yes or no answers. So that's an intelligent haunt. And I believe, I've never encountered an inhuman, but I've counted poltergeists. So what I think is poltergeists. So I have to say that, I've never actually experienced my house being haunted, but I've been in haunted places like West Virginia State Penitentiary or the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. I've been to these places, and they're pretty. These horrific things have happened there. Like the ghost I encountered at Trans-Allegheny was looking for a son because she was put in the insane asylum by her husband just because he said she was insane, and he wanted to marry a younger woman, and he took her child with him. Gave up his wife and his daughter to the insane asylum. The kid contacted the kid and the mother contacted tuberculosis. She died. And no, he died. The boy died first, and then she died. She didn't go into the light. She's looking for a son. She's been looking for a son for over almost 150 years. So I sit there and I go, these are things we were new to ask these questions because this was a common occurrence at this time of the women that were trapped there was mostly women. So I was able to, did this happen to you? Yes or no? Yes, yes. No, yes, whatever, through those questions, admittedly leading questions, but everyone was answered. And those places are haunted because the person's looking for the child and she doesn't want to leave the place where she last saw the kid, so she stays there. So that's more likely haunt. A poltergeist could be in a house and you enter the house, you cause a poltergeist activity because now you're creating a trickster spirit because he wants to scare you out of the house. He wants his house back. You're invading his territory. Almost like in the movie with Nicole Kidman, The Others.
Right.
It was the humans. The ghosts were scared of the humans. So, that's really what happens. They're like, why are you in my house? They don't know that they're dead. They're still in the house, So, there are situations and there are other situations where poltergeists are just bad people that like hurting people,
Well, there are all types of haunting situations, and I'm assuming this one was pretty comfortable, and it didn't seem scary. It just didn't seem quite right and out of place. Am I correct?
Yeah, I'm never scared of a ghost. I'm never scared because what it is just a person. Look, just like you go into a room, there's going to be one creep. If there's 1,000 people in the room, there's possibly somewhere in that room is a serial killer. A friend of mine on Facebook wrote me the other day. He was a construction worker. He went into a house, and the person that lived there died. The house was sold. It goes into, pull down the sheetrock. The people that bought it are redoing inside. He finds 3 bodies hidden in the walls. The guy that lived there was a serial killer, or a mobster killer, who knows, whatever he was. But he was a murderer. He hid 3 bodies in the wall of his house.
Right. That is gross.
So, I think those 3 people aren't haunting that property? It's a good chance.
I hear you. We only got about 90 seconds here before we got to go to break at the top of the hour here. With that hauntings, it couldn't come at a better time right around Halloween.
Yes. Yes. Well, it is the time of the Day of the Dead is coming where back. The ancestors come back. Which is the original purpose of it.
So with this ghost, this lady ghost, had you heard her before? Had anybody else heard her before that moment?
No, but I had smelled her. I smelled perfume before, and and before that there was an incident with a smoking man. My girlfriend smelled smoke, and I'm like, I don't smoke anymore. And she was like, someone's smoking. I go, well, it's not me. Did you smoke before I came here? Because she won't even date me. She'll leave me if I'm smoking. So I was like, no. I stopped smoking way before we even started dating. And she's like, I smell smoke. The next night I see, this big puff of smoke, over my desk chair, which is turned towards the balcony door. And I see this shadow person cut in front of the TV, and it blocks the TV, the light from the TV. And I tell it to leave, and it goes out, and it's gone. So, I've been used to these things for a long time, so I don't look at them as, most of the time you tell them to leave, they leave. You're always going to worry you got to run into, a bad person, but most of them are just lost souls.
I agree with you there, my friend, and I'm going to get you to hold on, Ian, as we're going to go to a break at the top of the hour here on Spaced Out Radio. Tupac Shakur, is he still alive or is he still dead? We'll find out from Ian right after the break on Spaced Out Radio. Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, it's Halloween night. So we're going to have Karen Dahlman here. And we're going to do our third annual Halloween live Ouija board show. We get going at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you bring your questions, because we're going to ask your questions on the air to Karen and the Ouija board at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome back everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network, Deep Talk Radio, as well as Rev Radio. And don't forget, all of our archives are free on our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Nemophilist. Nemophilist is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot. Soon shop at our brand new Spaced Out Radio store. We are building it right now, behind the scenes. And it'll look really pretty for you. So make sure you get your swag when it's up. And you can read up on the SOR Newswire as well. Ian Holt is our guest tonight. We introduce him for the final time. He's an award-winning author of the sequel to Bram Stoker's Dracula. He is a movie producer. Used to work at MTV Raps back when MTV still played music. Mr. Ian, welcome back.
Just dated me.
I know. I know. Dating you means I'm dating myself as well. Hey, I got a little bit of a freaky story I want to share with our audience, man.
Okay. Let's do it.
During the break last hour, I went outside to do a weather check and make sure, because it started raining here, make sure that I had my windows done up on my truck. And as I go and I open up the door to my carport and I walk to the end of my carport, I got growled at. And I recognize that sound, my friend. Recognize that sound. And that sound is nothing paranormal. But there is a cougar walking around my backyard right now. I went out again, because I'm silly that way, to check it out. Likely it's disappeared and wandered off. But the fact that, this thing growled at me with its inner purring type growl, very loud. I bet you this thing, and I couldn't see it because everything is dark in my backyard. I bet you this thing was maybe 30 to 40 feet away from me, and I didn't even see it. I am like shaking right now. Shaking. The big cats. I don't mind the bears, man. I like the bears. But when you get into that giant cat territory, that's where things get a little bit eerie. You know what I'm saying? Because cats are unpredictable. They're not happy at the best of times. So I'm a little shaken. Not stirred, shaken right now over that. I'm telling you.
Well, I'm glad you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be going out. I'm going to be going, I'll go up on my patio after the show. I'll bring a flashlight out because I got a really bright flashlight. And I'll search around to see if I see any glowing eyes. I'll do that, definitely. But I definitely got to call it in because my son's elementary school is literally about a 550-yard par 5 from my house. So basically, if you walk through the fence in my backyard, go into the green belt and just hang a right, within 100 yards, you hit the school yard and the playing field. So that's a little too close. A little too close. So the Cougars I call in. So I'll end up calling the RCMP or conservation after this, and they'll send people out looking, and they'll probably get a dog up here to look for it. But yeah, that was a little too close. Little too close. Don't like the big cats. I mean, I love looking at them. They are beautiful. Trust me, I don't want to see anything bad happen to it. But, dude, that was close. That was really, really close.
There are ways of running them off the territory. So, I mean, hopefully they'll do that and not just find it and shoot it, because it didn't hurt a human yet.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I know it's probably looking for deer, because we had deer in my yard earlier this evening, so it probably picked up the scent, and that's what it's looking for. And it's a mama deer, and she has two babies with her. So I could see that happening. Just eerie. Don't like it, Ian. Don't like it.
No, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, my friend, we're going to move on here, because Inspector Dave is going to go look at this after the show. I'll bring the dogs out. I'll be okay. Brawl a cat. What the hell? But nonetheless, Ian, you are big into the music industry, and you know a lot of the players in the field. You really do. And through your days at MTV Raps, you grew up with the boys from Public Enemy, and you've got to know a lot of the people in the hip-hop game. And one of the names that keeps coming up is Suge Knight. Now, we know Suge Knight is in jail, but just a couple weeks ago, his 22-year-old son, Suge Knight Jr., who is now at the head of Death Row Records, I believe, while Dad is in jail, conjured up some rumors, once again, that his father organized and orchestrated the death of Tupac Shakur, but insisted that not only did his father take a bullet during the shooting, but that Tupac is actually not dead, claiming that, and giving fuel to the conspiracy, that Tupac Shakur is actually still alive. What's your thoughts on this?
All right, well, first off, the pictures of Suge Knight, with Tupac with 50 Cent, and Tupac, with what's her name? Can't think of her name. Another new artist have been dropped off the Twitter feed, and trying to prove that he's alive. If you look at them, they really look doctored. The photos. I mean, they don't look. It looks like Suge Knight Tupac was cut out, and 50 Cent was dropped in, and Beyonce. Sorry, how can I forget her name? And Beyonce was dropped in. They don't look like they're really live and next to each other. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we should all know is a few weeks before this, Suge, who would never, ever stop fighting any of his charges that are against him, to the day he was convicted on any of them. Suddenly took a plea deal, and with time served, he'll be out in a year on a charge which was obviously self-defense. I think was anyone other than Suge Knight. Like, if this was a white guy in Florida, he'd be walking home free. You know, what happened was Suge went down to the Straight Outta Compton set, and he didn't like the way he was being portrayed. I don't like the way he was portrayed in the movie either. I mean, he's not like a totally evil good dude, you know, the way he was portrayed there. You know, in fact, he's a very friendly and, you know, very giving guy. You know, I'm sure I wouldn't want to cross him, but like this evil, twisted dude. So, I mean, he got angry. Words were exchanged. I guess they saw him because he's a blood, and some Crips were after him, and he went into a fast food joint, and they stopped his truck. Pulled a gun. His buddy got out, ran behind the truck. Suge didn't see him. He backed up and ran over his friend and killed him. The guy in front, he immediately, when he ran him over, realized he had hit someone, went forward. The guy started shooting at the truck. Suge ducked and ran into the guy that was shooting him in a self-defense move, and, you know, I think he lived. But they got him on attempted murder for that. So, you know, this is a situation where you're trapped by people with guns and you panicked in a car trying to get out of there. And this is only one way in, one way out, you know, because it's from the you know, it's a fast food place. So you got the cars lined up behind you. You can't back up. You can only go forward. So, I mean, you know, it was a pretty bad situation. And he should have beaten this DEL if he had gone to trial, but he took the plea, which for me is completely out of character. I wouldn't know why he did that, except with time served, he's out in a year, about a year. Now, at the same time, something else happened. Tupac's family won the rights to all his unpublished music. Now, for you that don't know, when Suge Knight was taken down, Death Row was taken away from him in a bankruptcy, and there was a fire sale, and Tupac's entire catalog was taken over in the fire sale for pennies on the dollar. And ever since then, they've been releasing albums to make money, most of the time without the family's okay, because they own the rights, this other company that bought it. Now, the problem is here that there's a lot of unpublished stuff, and somehow, I don't know totally about the court case, but it was decided that the music that was already published belongs to the company that bought it. The unpublished music was stuff that Tupac, a lot of it recorded on his own, and not as part of Death Row, so it went back to the family. So you have all this happening at once. Now, one thing Suge Knight is great is at branding, created this brand, Death Row, with a lifestyle and everything. It was all meant to, you know, blow everything up and, you know, look at where we live, look how rich we are, all this stuff. So he's great at promotion. So if you ask me, you have Suge knowing he's getting out in a year. Suge took a bullet the night Tupac was killed. It was Tupac and him. Suge will always say that was his best friend. It was his best friend. Now, a lot of people that blame him for the death of Biggie was retaliation for his best friend getting killed because, you know, there was something with the, you know, he was with the Bloods for protection, and they were with, and Biggie and Sean John was with the Crips. And full disclosure, my dad was a distributor for Sean John, so I know both sides of the story. So just for full disclosure. But I would think that this is all a big publicity stunt because the last two Tupac albums didn't sell. They just threw it out there. And I think, you know, Suge is saying you take his voice, you mix in new music, you like you do with, you know, update the music, and you do this, and take his rhymes and all that. You can make a hit record and build interest and publicity around it. Because if he's still alive, you know, and you know, you mix in some new things to new artists to make it sound like he's recorded it recently, and you can do that today. You can even digitize his voice and recreate it like they did, find somebody to imitate him and do it and put it in with some mix, and all of a sudden you've got a new Tupac album. It creates mystery and excitement, and it's going to sell it. And I think the family, owes Suge Knight, and Suge Knight loves that family because he paid for Tupac to get out of jail. When he was put in on that so-called trumped up rape charge, which I always thought was bull, because that was not who this man was. He was not a rapist. So, I mean, he may have said things about women that upset some women's groups, but, I mean, he loved his mom and he respected women because of her. So I don't believe that, just in my personal opinion. I think something else went down that night, but I won't get into it. But the thing is that Suge put up that money for him to get out of jail, paid his bail and everything else, and made Tupac the biggest rap star in the world. And I think that the family, the money, I think while a lot of people at death row didn't get paid, they got houses, but the deeds on the houses would still belong to death row. I think Tupac and his family were taken care of. And I think they owe Suge, and whether for his son, Suge has lost almost a lot of his money. And I think for Suge's family and for Tupac's family, they're going to play this up and they're going to release it. And all this stuff is just publicity.
I mean, it only comes 3 days after Tupac's estate won back all of his unpublished music. So, I mean, this is something that's a big blow to the Suge Knight empire, really. And that's what it is. So I could see where it would be a publicity, stunt, because if he's alive, there's probably a lot of life insurance and a lot of money that would have to be paid back to insurance companies, so on and so forth.
And, you don't know, Suge Knight does not own death row anymore. It was taken away from him. So you could see his son and Suge, when he gets out of jail, starting a new label and putting out Tupac's unpublished music all done up like he's still alive, and perpetuating that rumor. You can even see Suge and his son having a big fight on TV when he gets out of jail. What are you saying that madness for? You could see them playing it. This is worldwide wrestling. That's what Suge does. It's about he blows everything up. Him and his son could probably get into a fist fight and caught by TMZ. Remember, I'm working with Mickey Rourke. Mickey was really good friends with Tupac. So, because they did that movie Bullet together, and they were really good friends. So, Mickey, all these people, I mean, Tupac, as far as I'm concerned, may rest in peace. I mean, Suge, Suge took a bullet to the head. It skidded off the top of his head. So you can't make that wound make-believe. You can't shoot someone in the head. If you want to make a fake wound, you shoot him in the shoulder, you shoot him in the arm, you shoot him in the hand, you shoot him in the leg, foot, toe. You don't shoot someone in the head. There is no way that you could shoot a bullet that could ricochet and cuts and lodge in someone's head and not go through to the skull. So, I mean, got through the skull into the brain. So, I mean, that wound that he suffered Suge in the shootout, in the shooting of Tupac, he made up. So, I mean, and you had big forensic doctors look at it and all this stuff. There was a lot of heat on Suge that, he got hit by accident. He was going to kill Tupac because Tupac was leaving. And that is not the case. Tupac wanted to leave Death Row and start his own label. But Suge Knight, he only had a 3-record deal, but he did a double album and he paid the other record. And then, All Eyes on Me was a double album, so he got out of it. The deal, but he still owed Suge money. So Suge said to him, look, I'm not going to, rough you up. You're my best friend, but you owe me money. Don't make me do something I don't want to do. And he offered him Death Row East. They'd be partners in a new label. Death Row East, which would effectively end the feud because Death Row would be on both coasts and there would be no need for a feud. And that's, from the beginning, Suge's idea was to get the Bloods and the Crips working, getting them jobs and working together and killing the beef between the two gangs. It didn't work out that way. But his initial vision of it was something different than what it became, and it's the inertia of events that happened. But he wanted, him and Tupac were going to be partners, and Tupac was going to run his own label for his Rough Riders and all of that, or whatever we were going to call them. So, I mean, the idea that they're working now to get money for the family and perpetuating this idea that Tupac's alive, I don't buy that he's alive. I think this is all about Suge getting his back. The Tupac's family working with Suge to make more money again. And maybe
it could very well be.
Also fulfill their son's dream. Because that, getting a new label together with his music. That's what he wrote all this music for. So he could have music to put out to perpetuate his own label using his talent to make himself as rich as Suge was. So, I mean, I think that was the original idea, even though he decided in the end to partner with Suge and open Death Row East.
Well, I mean, no, and I could see that. I could totally see where you're going with that. How this could refire up or rekindle any sort of gang war or anything like that. But at some point,
just remember,
go ahead.
Take down Puffy. He wanted to take Puffy by opening Death Row East. He did not put a hit out on Puffy. He didn't send a hit squad over there. There was no blood hit squad that went over there. Nothing happened like that. He was planning to take him out business-wise. But there was beef between Tupac and the guy that he beat up, who was the son of one of the Crips leaders, and he had tried to steal one of his boys' chains, and he beat him up, and that guy had a safe face, and that's the guy we believe shot Tupac in the car with Suge. It was over a stolen chain, the stupidity of it, and Tupac forgetting that he was a civilian, not in the gang. He wanted to be down and show he was with his boys, and he wanted to show that, he was tough and all of that. Tupac, remember, died at 25 years old. I mean, he was a kid that was still finding himself. One side of him is this wild kid, sowing his wild oats, trying to figure out who he is. We all got into fights at 25 years old and had beef. Only in their world, you get into a fight, the guy who gets beat up is coming back to shoot you. Yeah, that's the gang world. And Tupac wasn't from that world. He was a drama student. He went to school with Jada Pinkett Smith. He was a drama student. He went to a dramatic high school. He was not this big gangster. He became that, perpetuated that, but because of his, and they were looking for him to be this big political leader because he was the son of a Black Panther. I mean, it was,
True that.
It was, yeah.
My
so he
friend,
was always struggling with who.
My friend, we only got about 30 seconds left. Where can people find your book?
Everywhere. Go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble's still around. Everywhere they sell books. It's also on an audio book, so you can download the audio book. It's everywhere, and pretty soon we've got Death Metal, written and directed by Mike Kuciak for my company, Alt House Productions, with Michael Alden and myself, and Mike Kuciak producing it.
Wonderful. Mr. Ian, thank you so much. We'll talk to you very soon, my brother. Olaf Phillips.
It's been great.
Coming up next. We'll talk to you soon.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Visit purpleplates.com today. And often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We've rounded third. We are headed for home on Spaced Out Radio tonight as we now get to our news section with Mr. Olaf Phillips, the man with his own theme song, president of Team Stump, editor extraordinaire of Paranoia Magazine, as Olaf joins us every single night to talk about the weird, the strange, the WTF of the news of the day, as the news is always changing. You can always read up on the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com. Click on the news button. Mr. Olaf Phillips, how you doing tonight, brother?
Doing all right. How are you?
I'm not going to lie. I'm a little rattled. That whole, well, the whole mountain lion experience, not being able to see it here, kind of growl at me from about 40 feet away an hour and a half ago. That's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough.
That'd do it. That'd do it.
So I'm going out on my patio, which is above my carport, after the show. And for those of you who don't know, I actually have a radio studio built in my house. Some people don't believe it exists, but it actually does. We've had witnesses here. But nonetheless, I'm going to go up on my patio, and I'm going to take my flashlights and kind of shine them around. I got really bright flashlights that go a long distance. I think they were tracking the deer, though, man, because I had deer in my yard earlier this evening. So I think that's what it was doing, just tracking the deer, looking for a meal. But old Davy's a meal. Like, Davy's a meal. I'm not going to lie. I'm not an appetizer. I'm a meal. And I scooted my ass all the way back to my door as quickly as I could, man. Like, it is a rumbling feeling.
You're on the second floor, right?
No, I got the studio built in the basement.
Ah.
Yeah.
I see.
Got the studio built in the basement. I was going to take my dogs outside, but I really don't need a brawl or a veterinary bill right now. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
Yeah. So I'll go out on the patio, I'll go out on the patio, and after the show, I'll call up the RCMP, and I'll just say, hey, this is what happened. So I don't know if they'll tell me to call conservation, and their offices will be closed, and I'll have to leave a voicemail. But you got to do the protocol. Bears, I would never call. Bears, I would never call in. Cougars are a different animal, man. They are just angry.
Yeah.
So
they're apex predators.
Oh, yes, they are. Oh, yes, they are.
I should tell you my mountain lion story.
Well, I got to give my ghost, Richard, a little bit of heck here because he knows I don't like big cats or bears in my yard. So I got to find out where Rick is. Unless
Actually,
he was in the front. Yeah,
it was
go
a
ahead.
coyote. I have a hell of a coyote story.
Okay, give me the coyote story, and then we're going to get to the news.
Okay, so one night I went out into the front yard. I live in suburbia. I'm surrounded by houses, but we have a very large park across the street from my house. And, you can hear them howling sometimes, or, I've never seen one, but I've heard them in the far distance. And I don't live in the forest or the boonies by any stretch of the imagination. I really do live in suburbia. And one night, it was a bit of a tumultuous time for me in my life, and I went out front and to take some garbage out, and I just decided for whatever reason to sit on the curb in the front and have a cigarette. And cigarettes are bad. Don't ever smoke. It's a terrible, awful thing. But at that time, I was smoking fairly heavily. And I just sat down on the curb. I had no particular reason to. I just did it. And I'm sitting on the curb, and there's a coyote, a white coyote, like an albino coyote. I didn't see where it came from. It just came walking, not even trotting, down the middle of the street. And it was completely white. And it didn't look underfed. It didn't look angry. It just looked like a textbook coyote, like you'd see it in a book. And, normally they're kind of mangy and dirty, but no, this one was immaculate. And it just goes walking down the middle of the street toward the park. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, and it walked right past me. It was like 6 feet from me. I couldn't even move. It was so close. If I had tried to run, it would have nailed me, no problem. Okay? And it keeps walking, and as it's walking, it turns and it looks at me, right at me, eye contact. And then it turns back and just keeps walking down the street. And it crosses the street, and it's like a T-junction, and it hits the T-junction where there's a large road. And then it walks calmly and slowly across the road and into the park. And when it hit the parking lot, which is directly across, it just kind of faded away. As it went further into the parking lot, it just kind of dissolved.
Weird. Very weird, man.
So I looked it up, because I was convinced that there was something otherworldly about this coyote. It just didn't seem right. Nothing about it seemed right. It had a weird mojo. And so in the Native Americans' myths of this area, there was this one story about that if a coyote walked, if you watched a white coyote walk south to north, or north to south, you were going to have bad luck. If you watched a coyote walk from east to west, then you were going to have good luck. And the coyote walked from the east to the west, like bang on west. It
nice.
Was, yeah.
Nice.
And things got better.
Good.
Things became okay, but it was very strange, and like I said, it was very eerie because the coyote was like, it wasn't mangy or gross, and it was like perfectly white. Very odd.
Awesome. Awesome
go.
story. Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
Let's get to the news of the day, my friend.
Yeah.
What do you got for us?
Well, this one's for your cat story. Ready?
Okay.
Okay. Oops, ignore that email invitation to a Cookie Monster cat party, U.S. Embassy says. This comes from NPR. The U.S. Embassy in Australia issued a lighthearted apology on Monday for the invitation to a cat pajama jam, featuring a photo of a cat dressed as a Sesame Street character, the Cookie Monster, that was accidentally sent out by email. The email, reportedly sent from the State Department, featured some Latin text and RSVP button to the event, according to Australian Associated Press. Spokesman Gavin Sunwall told the AAP the email was a training error sent by new staff testing out a newsletter platform. It's unclear how many people received the invitation. Sorry to disappoint those of you who are hoping to attend this cat pajama jam party, but that event falls outside our area of expertise, Sunwall said. So it's they actually sent out an email to a whole ton of people with a picture of a cat dressed as a Cookie Monster, i.e. Halloween, inviting them to a cat pajama party.
Oh, my goodness. And how many people do they think this got sent out to?
Tons. There's no estimate, but it provoked a Twitter response. That's all I gotta say.
That is actually hilarious. Could you imagine if, like, all of a sudden all of these people showed up with their cats dressed up for this party? I bet you they show up anyways. I bet you they do.
We shall see. We shall see.
That is friggin' hilarious. The email was apparently a training error sent by a new staff member?
A training error sent by new staff members. So later on in the article, they're quoted as saying that they put some new management techniques in place to prevent that from happening again. And the New Zealand American Embassy in New Zealand posted a Twitter response with a cat typing on a computer, said we're LOLing here in New Zealand.
Excellent. Well, at least it was a fun snafu rather than something serious. You know what I'm saying? And I still bet there will be a bunch of people going to the U.S. Embassy in New Zealand now with their cats tomorrow night. I bet you it happens. Why not play off of it? Why not play off of it? It could be a lot of fun.
I say go for it.
Absolutely. I do too. Story number 2, my friend.
Okay, this is from today, from the Huffington Post. Woman who claims to have had sex with 20 ghosts now engaged to one. Amethyst Realm of England says ghost lovers tend to be more sensual and adept than the average bloke. Her mate appeared on, quote-unquote, appeared on an Australian hike. A spirited fling with an Australian ghost has ended up in true love for an English woman. In fact, the ghost just proposed, and she wants the living world to know. Amethyst Realm 30 of Bristol says she has had sex with more than 20 ghosts since she was a teenager, but wasn't looking for a new relationship when she went to Australia on a business trip. However, she says, that changed on a nature hike when she came into contact with an apparition and felt sparks like none she'd ever known. Realm didn't think it could amount to anything serious because she says spirits tend to stay in one place. But something amazing happened on her flight home. She felt the presence of her lover on the plane and apparently not stowed in cargo. I couldn't believe it. I was happy and excited. So excited that we had to do something about it. So we headed to the plane loo, she told The Sun. And well, I am now a member of the Mile High Club. That was 9 months ago, and things have progressed to the point where Realm discussed her desire to marry and have her ghost baby on the British TV show ITV this morning in August. The paranormal proposal reportedly occurred last week when the couple took a road trip to England's Wookey Hole Caves, according to the New York Post. There was no going down on one knee. He doesn't have knees. but for the first time I heard him speak. She said, according to the paper, I could actually hear his voice. And it was beautiful, deep, sexy, and real. The couple are now choosing a ring, but I'm not decided what kind it would be. Realm, supernaturally, is hoping her ring will have an amethyst in it, but she's leaving it to her spirit lover to decide. The couple plans to do a pagan hand fasting ceremony in which their hands are tied together, symbolizing their connection, she said. It'll be somewhere in the English countryside. We haven't discussed the details yet, but I think it will be quite a do. So there you go. Apparently she's marrying a ghost.
That's a lonely life, my friend. That is a lonely, lonely life. I mean, if she's happy, good. Good. You know, I mean, you can't take that away. You really can't take that away. But I mean, you know, as much as I believe in the paranormal, it's stories like this that scare me. It really does scare me. That,
I hear you.
You know, that somebody may have some sort of psychological or emotional problems that need professional help when it comes down to something like this. And the fact that she is getting press over it and people are laughing at her over it, I think is even a little bit more sad. I really do.
Well, you know, when I lived in England once, I saw a documentary that was on the BBC about people who fell in love with inanimate objects.
Yeah.
And there was a woman, and she was actually in love with the Eiffel Tower. And she would actually travel from England to Paris to be near the Eiffel Tower and to like touch it. And she felt that the Eiffel Tower loved her too. And it was it's actually a psychological condition. The love of inanimate objects. Buildings, bridges, cars, but it's like true, honest to God love. I was very interested in that and shocked by it. But this is a little out there, even for me.
Me too, my friend. We're going to get to the thought of the day.
The thought of the day.
There we go. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we post a comment on Twitter and Facebook, and then we read your responses on the air. So today's Thought of the Day is as followed. On the eve of Halloween, who is your favorite horror movie star and why? What's yours, Olaf?
Oh, goodness gracious me. Well, that's tough. That's a tough one.
It is.
That's probably Vincent Price or Peter Cushing. They're just creepy. I mean, when Peter Cushing was Doctor Who, it was even creepy. He just makes stuff creepy, Peter Cushing does. When he was in Star Wars, he was creepy. Ugh.
I don't know, man. Mine's still Pinhead or Freddy. I love both of them. Love both of them.
If you're talking about characters, I would have to say it was the guy from Phantasm. Angus, I forget his name. But the guy from Phantasm or Pinhead. If I had to pick a character, it was probably Pinhead or the guy from Phantasm.
Well, let's see what our audience says, shall we?
Let's do it.
Let's get it. Danny on Twitter, definitely the Toxic Avenger, a nerd turned mutant that lives at the dump and yet somehow still has the ability to get a beautiful girlfriend. I mean, I think she was blind. Whatever, man. Still my favorite. Joe states, Bela Lugosi, believe it or not, he carried a certain air or feeling about him that infused into the character portrayal. Even the movies were tame by today's standards. You felt him in the movie just like you would feel a paranormal presence.
Yep. I buy that.
Tony. Pinhead. Yes, I got one here. He can give fear to a lot of kids, man. Oh, yeah. Robin states, I have to go with the Scream Queen, Jamie Lee Curtis, because she has done it all. Plus, her mother, Janet Leigh, in Psycho, is a Scream Queen. Makes sense?
Totally.
Trixie. Freddy Krueger, the Robert Englund variety. The first time I saw this movie, I used a cardboard box for safety. No cat jokes now. And every time I think of the movie, I see his arms stretched impossibly long as he scratched his nails slowly up and down the metal, walking towards his prey. Ooh, I remember that scene. I totally remember that scene. That was eerie.
It was.
All right, let's continue on. Christopher Walken says Uncle Dale, although we never know if it's Dale or Dale's power mustache making the comment. He says Christopher Walken in Prophecy, because I think that's exactly the personality of an angel of death.
I think he hit the nail on the head. Christopher Walken's is cool anyway.
Yeah.
You know, there's a Dinner with Walken. It's on YouTube. You should watch that with Richard Belzer and Christopher Walken. It's hilarious. Just putting that out there. Dinner with Walken.
All right, let's move on here. Catherine, Vincent Price, because he represents the classy horror persona and has the natural look.
Yep.
So basically she's saying that Vincent scares the living daylights out of her. Moving on. Jeff. Clearly, it's Jason Voorhees. Used to be terrified of Jason, plus he has great memes. Found a clean version here. Oh, look, she's running away. I'll just wait until she trips over nothing. Women are always tripping over nothing. Wow, went there. Good job, Jeff. Tim. Boris Karloff, Frankenstein, 1930s. That's a good one, too. Lots for Bela Lugosi, Vincent Price. My friend, tell everybody where they can find Paranoia Magazine.
ParanoiaMagazine.com or Paranoia Magazine on Facebook, Paranoia Mag on Twitter, and Paranoia Mags on Instagram.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ian Holt, for coming on the show, talking everything that we possibly could tonight. Tomorrow night, Karen Dahlman is back for our Halloween special. It's a third annual live Ouija board session that we do on Halloween, 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in on Spreaker, on all our affiliates, and on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio. Wherever you're listening, in your home, in your cars, at work, thank you for tuning us in, making us bigger and better every single night. Because together, my friends, we own the night. I will talk to you 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Good night.